At Candriam, we've had a long and deep experience of engaging as a shareholder. As a shareholder, it's a lot easier to engage corporates through shareholder meetings. Companies have listing requirements that push them to do a lot more disclosure on ESG factors, and generally engagement has been growing through shareholdings. We've seen, for example, a lot of investors support shareholder resolutions like Say on Climate. It's obviously a lot harder for fixed income investors to engage. Quite often companies are private, so there's no dialogue as shareholders, and they've been generally more sensitive, and it's been harder to get disclosure out of them on ESG factors. At Candriam, we've developed a specific program to look at fixed income engagement. In our engagement process, we include a lot of stakeholders in the firm. We include portfolio managers, credit analysts, and ESG analysts to define the target, look at what concerns we have on these companies, and also define what the objectives of the engagement should be. We tend to target companies where engagement is likely to yield results. So we're not going to engage the best companies from an ESG performance point of view, and not the worst. We're going to look at companies that are borderline. Our fixed income priority list ended up including mostly high yield companies and also a lot of private issuers. So when engaging, it's important for us as investors to look at how the debt is being used and how considerate companies are for ESG. And the tremendous number of issuance of green bonds and sustainability bonds and sustainability linked bonds mean that there is plenty of opportunity for engagement. Our work has already yielded some positive results. We've seen some of our issuers that have published their first ESG report. Some of them have committed to improving their board diversity. And also we've seen some that have committed to reducing their CO2 emission targets. Now, we mustn't forget country engagement. It's much harder to get traction when engaging sovereigns. So we prefer to act in collaboration with other responsible investors for higher leverage. We've joined a collaborative engagement on deforestation targeting 2 sovereigns. That is work in progress for us. Well, governance and climate change, naturally. Governance is an important topic for bondholders, and at Candriam, we've always looked carefully into governance when analyzing credit issuers. Governance is the most material factor when it comes to safeguarding our bond investments. And it's also one of the main reasons why we're engaging corporates today. Climate change is an increasingly important risk factor. Physical risks, extreme weather events are occurring more and more frequently. We've already witnessed the first default linked to companies that didn't consider climate risk. So on the one hand, climate change is producing stranded assets, but it can also generate interesting opportunities. So as fixed income investors, when engaging with companies, we look at their capability to mitigate climate risk, but also their capacity to grasp the opportunities that climate change offers. We think so. We're certainly laying the groundwork. Fixed income engagement is a win-win. On the one side, we're pushing companies to adopt more responsible practices, being more cognizant of ESG. And on the other side, we're getting a better understanding of these businesses, and we're fueling our portfolio managers and our credit analysts with a lot of information. And generally, debt investors are more and more open to dialogue. This year, 2021, has seen a huge increase in the number of carbon emission reduction pledges from investors committing, for example, to the Net Zero Asset Owner Alliance or the Net Zero Asset Manager initiative that we've just signed. Investors are prepared to act on climate. Regulation, such as SFDR in Europe, is also helping. So yes, we think that fixed income engagement will become more common in the coming years. But when considering fixed income engagement, the elephant in the room is certainly sovereign engagement. When we see how countries are underestimating their environmental risks and how little they're doing to tackle climate change. If we think about this, how many countries have actually met their goals of the 2015 Paris Agreement? As responsible investors in these sovereign institutions, it is our fiduciary duty to make sure that our investments in sovereign debt encourages positive and sustainable impact.